Alright y'all, welcome to my second video on our donut project. Going to walk through, use an example from one of our classmates, a couple of skills that we need to possibly complete some of your donuts. So today we're going to talk about Revolute Mates, image tracing. On another donut I'm going to show an example of a loft again and how it's useful potentially for some of your shapes. Also going to talk about the mate connector button and how to add mate points, move mate points, etc. And then last but not least, how to give your image this look that doesn't have the lines between the different faces or edges. So, as you can see in the picture here above my head, we've got the example donut. And this is what it's going to look like, that way. So hopefully at the end we get there again. So I've copied some of this student's parts over, but I'm going to walk through how to create the eyepiece. The donut itself, pretty simple. It's just a circle extrusion. So I'm going to start with a new part studio. I'm going to go from the top down. We're going to walk through the image trace with a real example here. So sketch, top face, go to the image, insert image feature, import, I got a bunch of stuff, download, brought in the picture of the Uchiha eye donut, probably butchered the pronunciation of that, apologies. I'm going to click on the image now that it's in. I'm going to get rid of this little information. Now it's asking me to draw an image rectangle, so we'll draw it nice and big. It's a little blurry, not really worried about that, I just need something to sketch. So that's in my first image. Now I'm going to create another sketch on the top plane. And now I'm going to trace my shape. So in this case, I'm just trying to create the little black eyepiece. One way to do it is with lines like this. Just kind of go around creating the shape. Then extrude it. Oh, helps if I completed my lines. So you notice there's a gap here. There we go. Now if I extrude sketch 2, doesn't need to be too big, it's just a decoration, so 0, 0. In this case, little piece. I can add appearance to it, make it black in this case. So, kind of gives it the shape. If I wanted to make it a little bit better, I could use different shape tools. I could sketch again on the top face. A lot of this is round, so let's start with a 3-point arc. So we got, kind of starts here, goes over towards here. That's pretty good. I've also got kind of a 3-point arc that goes from here here, say to here, and then this little bit's a line then extrude that. Again, you get the general gist. So the darker the picture, the better the picture, the easier it is to trace. You know, I could probably smooth that out a little bit if I took some time and really got into it. But that's the purpose of the image insert, and then using the lines and the different sketch shape tools to kind of make that. I could have created a circle since it's a circle, and then maybe created the rest of it. I could have used the spline tool, etc. For our case, I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to use our student's one that he drew. You can see it's got a little bit better shape probably than mine. Looks like if I click on his sketch, looks like he did some lines and some splines to get there. So did a nice job. Alright, so that's the image trace. Alright, red donut. So in our example here, we've got our red donut. So you can see it started out as a circle, has a little bit of a fillet to it on the edge. All tools you've seen before. If we just want to run through it real quick. Create a new part studio. Again, top down, sketch, top, circle tool. None of this should be new for y'all. We're going to go 2.5 inches just to give it a shape and a size. We're going to extrude that to give it its 3D dimension. We'll go 1.5 inches. Make it look kind of puckish. There we go. And then to give it the rounded off, we're going to fillet or fillet the edges. I hear it both ways. Doesn't really have quite that donut shape right now. It looks more like a hockey puck. So if we go a little bit bigger, the donut was 1.5 inches. So if I go 0.75, let's see what that looks like. Might be too big, or you know what? Give it a. We go 3.5 inches maybe. Make it a little bit bigger. There you go. A little bit similar shape and style. So did that pretty quick. If I then, it's all one part. If I edit the appearance, make it red. There we go. We got very similar red puck to red puck. So one of the questions I also get a lot is, hey, I'm trying to make this, add this to my professional looking presentation. And while this is good for CAD, seeing the different lines and parts of it, how can I, one, either view this as an isometric, view this without the lines between the different faces or components or features, the different geometries? We have this button right here, our camera and render options. So one question I've gotten a couple times this week, how do I make it look isometric like when we were in our notebooks? So that kind of spins it to our XYZ isometric view. Now since I didn't really create it in a good fashion for an isometric view, maybe you might want more like that or like that. Still got to 3D spin it. Or using your right click and spinning it around. In order to get these lines and make it just a solid shape, if I go into render options, I can then go down here to where it currently says shaded with edges. If I go shaded without edges, it gets rid of those lines. Alright, I'm going to pause here for a second and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I'm back. Alright, so the next part of this, so we've got our round puck, we've got our black eye piece that we need to add to it. So how do we go ahead and get it on the donut? So I'm going to go to our assembly tab. We did something similar to this with our puzzle cubes earlier. So I'm going to create the red puck donut, drop it in. We're going to add in our 3 eye things. So I showed this the other day, how to add mate points. But here's a kind of a real world example. So in this case, this face here, which is where we're looking to add our eye things to, so we can get the shape that's above my head, only has 1 mate point right in the middle, as well as on the edge. So if I were to try to mate it, I'll just click pass and mate. If I click on here, you'll see just the 1 mate point in the middle of it. So one thing I do want to call out, we're also going to learn a new mate with this. So there's fasten mate, which is what we've used before. It removes, like it says there, removes all degrees of freedom between 2 entities. So if I add that eye, I put it on the face of that donut, they can't move. So wherever it goes, and it's stuck. Now say when I add it, I want to spin the eye a little bit to give it that 360 kind of spinning wheel image that's above my head. What I want to use there instead is right next to it, this Revolute Mate. And so that allows, again, what it's saying, allows rotation about the z-axis. So putting it in, and then it spins across the face of the donut so you can line them up. So we're going to be using this, but first we also need to add our mate connectors. So I'm going to want 3 of them on the face of this donut, so I'm going to spin this to the top. I've already clicked my mate connector button. I'm going to do it on the entity, which is this face here. On entity. There we go. Sorry, Onshape's going a little slow today. So on the face of part 1, I want to move it. So again, we see our, hard to see because I've got a red donut, but our x-axis is the red, our y-axis is the green. You don't see the z because it's coming straight at me, but if I were to spin it, you got a little bit of it. So I'm going to put this one kind of out in here. Or no, we're going to go straight up for the first one. So straight up the y-axis, we're going to go, just try 2 inches. There we go. Try 0.3. Let's go 0.5. That should be probably be a little bit too far. We'll go 0.4. So that's 1. Let's add a second. Again, on the face. Not on the edge, we want it on the face. Face of part 1. I want to move it, so this one's going to go down in this direction. So we're going to go negative 0.35, and we'll go negative 0.35 here. Probably healthy for now. We'll go ahead and green check that. Add another one on the face. Move. Again, down a negative 0.35. In this case, we're going to go 0.35. Probably good. Alright, so now we got our mate points on the face of the donut. We're going to see if this worked. So we're going to Revolute Mate this time. We're going to go face of the donut, side. Since we can't see it, it went inside, we're going to flip that out. Again, hard to see. There we go. and we're going to green check it. So now if I bring my donut back, we got one locked in place. We're going to go ahead and do the second one. So Revolute Mate the second one. With the face of that donut, or the face of that eye patch part. Get them to where they stick out. There we go. And now Revolute Mate 3, where's part 3? Hard to find. We'll find them here in a second. Right in the middle of that circle. And what? He's inside the donut. Alright. Let's red check this. Let's move this donut out of the way so we can get to him. Revolute Mate. Click there. Click in the middle of the donut, or the middle of that part. Flip it out so it's visible. Green check. Alright. We're getting closer. So, we at least have them all. They're all connected, but they're not in the right area. This middle piece kind of goes towards the inside, and they all kind of face outwards. We go, and I've got it upside down, so let's rotate this. One more time. There we go. So if I now click on the individual part, I get my white arrows. I can now transform it. This one kind of looks more vertical. And last but not least, this one here. There we go. Now for whatever reason, I didn't like exactly where they lined up. Maybe I wanted to move them a little bit. If I just go back to the original Mate connector point, so say I wanted to move that top one down a little bit, or if I wanted to move this one up a little bit, I can just change this. Bring them in a little bit closer. And then because I did the one, just to keep it symmetrical. I could do like that, and then at that point maybe I top one's off a little bit. So instead of 0.4, change that to 0.3. And then if we wanted to get rid of those lines again, click on the rendering images options, shade it without edges. And there we go. We got our red donut with our 3 eyes. And we can go back to the Part Studios and change dimensions a little bit if we want to make the eyes bigger, the donut smaller, to dial it in just a little bit better. But as it is, great donut, great choice, very nice job. So, last skill to show. One of your students today asked about how to create a donut or a cone-shaped donut. So I'll show this again. This is the skill we did with our D&D or tabletop dice. So pretty quick. Like always, start a sketch, go to the top, use a dot point, make a point. Done with that plane, we're going to create an offset plane from the top. We're going to make it, in this case, let's go 2 inches. So now I've got 2 planes. I'm going to hide the front and the right. So now if I click on the top, give it that top-down view again, create a sketch here on plane 1. In this case, a circle. Since it's a center point circle, I'd start right at the origin or right at the dot that I created for the first one. Say I want the top of that donut to be 2 inches, I can just drag it out. Right now, while the text box is there, type in my 2. Got a 2-inch donut, so now I've got a point circle the other end. Done with my sketch. Now I'm going to loft the two. Loft from the dot to the circle. Could have gone in either direction. As a matter of fact, I ended up going the opposite of what I just said. There is our cone shape. Oh, and I lofted that as a surface, not as a solid. So let's do it again to give it that solid view. Now in this case, again, making a donut. Let's hide our planes. Want to give it that rounded filleted edge. Round. Hide that sketch, there you go. Got a kind of a rounded donut shape there. So it's as simple as making a circle, making a dot on two separate planes that are offset from each other, so they're still parallel, both centered on that same dot, lofting them together, and then like all of our other donuts, using that fillet or fillet tool to give them that nice rounded edge. So there you go, walk you through quite a few tools here. Revolute Mate, did some image trace to get those eye shapes, did a loft, created new made points, moved them. I didn't do rotated, but I did rotate some in the last video, so if you're trying to add sprinkles, remember that was in video 1. So there you go, video number 2. Hope you enjoyed. As always, like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, ask me. Thank y'all.